All right. So let me do this little candle thingy. Um. So, welcome everyone. That is Shade Warlock 25 with stages and types of possession. So, with going, I can't talk today. Getting into it, there's technically it can be 4 different types of um, possession, demonic or spirit or otherwise. But really, there's really only 3. So there's infestation, oppression, and possession. And infestation is like the beginnings of a haunted house type of deal. Things moving around on their own, lights flickering on and off without somebody actually being at the switch. Smells that don't really know whether or not they're coming from somewhere. And it's in beginning stages, it's if you're not psychically inclined, meaning that if you can't necessarily sense whether it's demonic or just a malevolent spirit, in the beginning sometimes it kind of does get difficult to know whether or not it's whether or not it is what it is. And this is where the whole mundane thing comes in, because you have to go down the list of what humanly can be going wrong. Like I was talking to somebody today about if if you're going to a house that was built in like the 1800s and the entire house hasn't really been renovated, or it's just been renovated badly, speaking from experience because that's my situation right now. Wiring can get screwed up, plumbing can be really really bad, and depending on if you're in an area where you have basements or just attics, things could be happening up there. And when I say things can be happening, I mean like different different pipes, different sounds, being think of the house as a person. Different pressure points are going to trigger different reactions. And it's kind of odd when you, at least for me, it's odd when you come across people who automatically go, oh yeah, that's definitely a demon. Okay. One, how do you actually know 100%? And 2, how do you know if that is actually something you can handle? Because you should always bring a few different people. Like I would say between like 3 to 5, or more, depending if you really want to go that route. But I would say have one believer, one skeptic, and then and one for video, one one uh one secretary, essentially, because it's or technically for one psychic, but that's a whole different thing that I'll get into later. But whenever something comes up, that's why I'm always saying, like, always have a journal to bring with you. Always have a different set of lights. Do I actually have my? No, my bag's in my other room. Um, bring lights. Bring a notebook. Video equipment. Whether it's a little handheld video, your phone, um, or one of the expensive video cameras. But that's all up to you. But what really happens is you have to go through the the human side first. You have to go through the mundane side first, because if you automatically go the paranormal side, it's going to be a lot easier, excuse me, to look for something that's not there, because it is what it is, um because you're going to have a bias. You're going to want something to happen, and when it doesn't, you're like, oh well, it's probably not here now, and it's it gets difficult. um Next is going to be oppression, you know and that is more with the actual activity that's going on, whether it's losing sleep, sleeping too much, um, you're woken up in the middle of the night thinking that you are in bed, but you end up in the living room. And in cases like that, some people do just end up sleepwalking. It happens. um, so again, you have to look at the mundane side first, because you can miss a lot of things that could psychologically be going on and things like that. So that's why I say, like, have a team, because some people who, like, read about a lot of different disorders can be a good source for over internet. Give me a second. Um, so with different um, disorders, it becomes, like I said, you have to really dive into different areas, whether or not it's a thing that's just going to happen, or you're not necessarily understanding about what sorry, ADHD going. um Basically what I'm saying is you have to have an open mind, because if you don't, then you're just going to be looking for something that is not going to be there. Give me 1 second, I'm switching. I'm back. You can go. um, like, are they having any you can you can start to narrow down whether or not like it might be something that's it's it could be an outside trigger. It could be if you're not careful. So there's that. Um, with if it's, I'm not gonna say if it's an actual demon or malevolent spirit or otherwise. Okay. The one thing you have to do is figure out why. Like, why is this happening? What is going on? What's going to be the actual cause to not necessarily fix the situation, but move it along safely enough to where you aren't running around like a chicken with your head cut off. Um, so with the technically third stage, but also one that doesn't necessarily come up often. That's why I'm saying you can either do 3 stages or 4, depending on what route you go and depending on the situation. This one's going to be obsession, not oppression, but obsession, meaning you're constantly having different you're having a hard time actually functioning as yourself. You're doing things out of the ordinary, and um you're just preoccupied with um a lot of blackouts. But again, disclaimer, if this is happening to you, first seek help, seek medical attention, because this is not for medical advice. Okay? This is not anything to do with I'm not a doctor. I'm This is all under the assumption that this is going to be a possession type of situation. But that being said, that's why I'm saying you have to rule out everything else first. So that's why I'm saying you have to look at the psychological side too, because there could be a lot of different things that trigger you. And with the obsession part, like sleep issues can be turned into severe insomnia. And it's just for a lot of different aspects. That's basically what I'm getting at right now. Long-winded, but sometimes I have to. It's fine. Now, with possessions, okay. The biggest thing that anybody and everybody should know, specifically gearing towards demons and demonic forces and things like that, anything that's not human, non-human entity, meaning never was human, never walked the earth as human, never will be human, they don't possess things, they do not possess items, they don't possess boxes, they don't possess dolls, they don't, period. They possess people. they possess living people. And it comes to a point where if you are if you've gotten to that stage and you've been investigating and gotten to that part, that's where people end up broken down, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, like this. It would be to the point where they are just completely not themselves, and it is going to take over that person's soul. Now, here comes the fun part. For specifically exorcisms, if you are part of the Catholic faith, Catholic, Christian, Baptist, whatever, if you have to answer to the Vatican for any reason, it has to go through the Vatican to get approved for a Catholic exorcism, because that's just how the clergy works. And also because it's 2022 and science is a thing. And like study of mental health disorders are an actual thing. Back decades and centuries ago, where people were exorcising people left and right, it was easier to blame a demon versus, oh, hey, something actually might physically or mentally, psychologically be wrong with this person. So instead of, hey, let's help, it's like, oh, no, keep them away. They have to be exorcised. And a lot of times it ended in death. It happens. And whenever you the biggest thing is don't actually go looking, because you will be you're going to be the one inviting things to come out to play. It's dumb. I don't condone it. Granted, I might do it, but then again, I'm an idiot sometimes. But if I ever do, I do it smart. Like I do my preliminary stuff first. I get whatever information I can, and if I'm ruling out, don't do it all. I swear, if plain jokes are gonna be what I'm known for, I swear. But it's like snakes on a plane. But you have to be smart about actually going to certain places and the information that you get, because if you're just going by what somebody is saying, then that automatically can kick out any potential help, because you have to look at any kind of history that you think you don't need to have. Get it, because if you don't think something's relevant, later on it might be. So in cases like this, everything is always relevant, no matter how small, minute, boring. The smallest thing can actually make a difference. It's like the theory of time travel. Don't go back and step on a butterfly kind of thing, because even the smallest change can drastically change the outcome of what's supposed to happen. But there's a lot of sorry, I just woke up. There's a lot of different things that you have to be aware of and be wary of. So that's why I'm saying, like, if you ever get to the point where you are asked to come on investigations, one, don't take that lightly. Two, still have an open mind. Like, you can have your own bias and your own opinions on a lot of different things. You can have your own bias during the actual investigation, but you also have to be at least open to the idea of the possibility that what you think is going on might not actually be what's going on. And don't try and convince yourself otherwise, because that's not going to be healthy for anybody. So as far as different types of possession, there's probably should have wrote them down, but the way I classify them are not always the actual names of them. I call it I call one forced possession, which is something, whether it's human or otherwise, is trying to possess you without your consent. Period. Hence the force. And that is, honestly, that's the most common. But also, disclaimer before I continue, demonic possessions, period, are not as often as movies and shows suggest. They don't happen like that talking about it. They really don't. It could be something malevolent. It can. It could just be it could just be an air spirit that just wants to cause some trouble. So that's what I'm saying, that you have to be wary and open to all possibilities. So forced possession, being, you have an outside force trying to be the one possessing you. Semi-possession is, the way I like to call semi-possession is, it's not, you're still there, but you're not necessarily in the driver's seat. Like, you can still be aware of what's going on, but you don't necessarily have any control of what's going on. But once the whole banishing process takes place, like, you come back and you're like, So things happened while I was in there. Um, and there's that. Um, there's also a thing called self-possession, which is that's a certain type of um possession that you have full control over, but very very few people are actually um aware of how to exactly do that. Um and even fewer people are even fewer people know how but refuse to. Doesn't necessarily mean that they can't, but it's mainly because they just don't actually want to. um it's a personal thing. It's fine. Then there's it's called, a lot of times it's called the perfect possession, to where you and whoever or whatever is possessing you, you both have control. Like you it's like a split consciousness kind of thing. um okay, for to give you a little bit of an idea, with semi possession, think like a Jekyll and Hyde kind of deal, right? Both sides are aware of each other, but not both have access to the driver's seat at the same time. um with the perfect possession, I think it actually is called the perfect possession, um hence the air quotes, but both parties involved know exactly what's going on. If and that usually is a culmination of years and years and years of um a possession event um going untreated, um not necessarily exercised, but like you don't necessarily, it doesn't necessarily follow the typical stages. um like it's not, in some cases it's not violent, um and it's also very subtle sometimes. um but again, it's rare. um so with the perfect possession, it's I think what's a really good one. Think hmm, I don't know. I don't know a good analogy for that one. um huh, I don't know. But anyway, um yeah, there's a few different types of possessions, and there's a few different stages that everyone goes through. Um, Now, as far as the actual paranormal side, like strictly spirits, like ones that used to be human, um, there's always going to be easy ways to start. Um, Honestly, there's a lot of beginners books out there. I actually have two of them. No, yes, I have two of them, and I just bought one new one last night. It's called, I want to say it's the New Science of the Paranormal or something like that. But I haven't got to read that yet, so I don't know exactly what's actually in it. But these two are really good to start off with. Ghost Hunting for Beginners, obviously for beginners, and then How to Be a Ghost Hunter by Richard Southall or Southall. I don't know. I can't ever pronounce the last names. So if you're strictly doing ghost hunting, that alone, be careful, because it's very easy to be it's very easy to be doing something that you're not supposed to, and you'll all right. Look at it like this: if you're going to an abandoned amusement park and you have, your ghost hunting equipment, and then you bump into a cop and they arrest you and escort you out, and then you wonder why, you sh- you shouldn't be you shouldn't be doing investigations. You shouldn't be doing ghost hunting. Mainly because if you're actually smart and you're actually researching how to do it right, you go through proper channels so that you don't get arrested. Um, but some places just straight up won't allow it. So that's something you have to be aware of too. If they don't allow it, don't do it. Plain and simple. It's again, it's 2022. If you don't have anything better to do other than break into an abandoned building or abandoned amusement park, then really what are you doing? Because there's a lot more shit you can do that is legal. Um, Other than that, this was honestly probably one of the shortest videos I've done. There's not there's really not much else to cover. But as far as the demonology side of it, look into getting this by Rosemary Ellen Gully, Demons and Demonology. It's actually got a lot in here. There's anything really demon there, or anything having to do with demons. Um, there's fairies, which can be considered demonic or malevolent. There's jinn. There's even what's that movie? Devil's Advocate, I think. The one with the lawyers and it ends up being Satan or whatever the hell. Pun intended. It's got the movie Constantine with Keanu Reeves. It's just an encyclopedia. It's not really saying anything other than just bare facts. But it tells you a lot about different different things that you might come across or you might get asked about. Um, a lot of it in here, yes, it is demons, but it's also anything relating to demonology. Um, yep, Devil's Advocate. I was like, I know that name. I haven't seen it in goddamn forever. But it's also got, the movie The Exorcist in here, and like when I say it's got almost anything and everything relating to demonology and just this world, look into reading it. Even if it's just as because it's a good reference guide too. It's a good reference book. Because even if it doesn't have much, it's still got something. So, but honestly, that's going to be the end of this video. Really, um, there's going to be next week. I haven't necessarily decided tonight what next week's video is going to be. But look on my Instagram, and I'll at least post something about like what to look for. But it's always going to be on Wednesdays, 7:30. But I always have an idea of what I want to talk about, but I always have a contingency plan of if something happens, I'll want to do a certain type of video. Yes. Tomorrow I'm going to do an Instagram video with the goddess Canella, and it's going to be on glamour magic, concealment, and like so. Little reference for me. Yeah, I said Tuesday. I think I said Tuesday. Tomorrow? No, I said tomorrow. Tomorrow's Thursday. Tuesday. Tuesday. Um, for me, when I think glamour, it's makeup, making yourself look pretty, but it's also um making you making you not see something that actually is there. Um, um, think of it like in Vampire Diaries. It's a different form of mind compulsion. It's really it, except better. uh, but that's gonna be Tuesday. And again, Wednesday, I'm not entirely sure, but I'll have an answer within the next couple of days. All right. Thanks for watching, and like, subscribe, hit the notification button, and I'll see y'all next week. Thanks.